everybody, and welcome back to some more Feed the Beast Beyond. Last episode, we were working on a very early game Applied Energistics 2 system, and by Applied Energistics 2 system, I basically mean just this ME chest, at least for the time being. That's all going to change in today's episode because, as I mentioned at the end of last episode, there were a couple of things that I would like to have done that we didn't quite get time to do in that episode. And so the first thing that we're going to work on in today's episode is upgrading this quote-unquote ME system, which is just an ME chest, into a bit more of an actual ME system with a couple more components to it, starting, of course, with the ME crafting terminal, which I think I mentioned a little bit at the end of last episode, but essentially, what the ME crafting terminal is exactly the same as this kind of interface on the top of the ME chest, but as well as allowing us to see all of our items, it also allows us to craft from within the interface, making it a lot easier to access all of our items and making crafting so much easier than it is normally. We don't have to grab all the items out of the chest, go over to the crafting table, then find the recipe and then shift click it in. All we have to do is go to our crafting terminal and shift click the recipe in, and it will pull all the items that it needs from within our AE system. Pretty cool stuff. Now, for the most part, the recipe for the ME crafting terminal is fairly easy. It's a crafting table, it's an ME terminal, which we made last episode, the illumination panel, the formation annihilation cores, and the logic processor. All of these items we have in my inventory, and actually, I can go ahead and craft this up right now. It's done. The only hard part about this recipe is the calculation processor, and for a few reasons. Because, first of all, we need another inscriber press, this time the calculation version, which requires more aluminium that we didn't have in the last episode, and it also requires a pure Certus quartz crystal, which is made by dropping a Certus quartz seed made from Certus quartz dust and sand into a puddle of water. Now, let me just quickly show you how that is done. So if we get ourselves some Certus quartz from in here, we'll take this one, and we did also have some sand, although I think I've smelted all of it into glass. I have indeed. Do we have any more? We don't. Wow. Okay, so hold on just a second here while I go and grab some more sand. Okay, so now that we've got some sand, let's quickly come over to the sag mill. Let's throw one of our Certus quartz crystals into there. I did make some more silicon between episodes because we are going to need it in the near future for some more processors that we need to make, and of course for the calculation process that we're going to try and make right about now. But in order to make this, there's our Certus quartz seed. If we throw it in the water here, unlike the Fluix crystals, which are created instantaneously, the Certus quartz seeds take forever, and I mean forever, to grow in this puddle unless you have some crystal growth accelerators. So for example, if I pop back in now and pick these up, you can see if we hover over them that they are still 0% complete. And when I say forever, I mean I think it literally takes hours in order for these to turn into actual pure Certus quartz crystals if we don't use the crystal growth accelerators. And so, you guessed it, we're going to make ourselves some of these crystal growth accelerators. Thankfully, these things are not all too hard to make. They require 4 iron ingots, 2 more of the ME glass cable that we made last episode, 2 quartz glass, and then 1 Fluix block, which can be made with 4 of those Fluix crystals. And so, just like before, the first thing that we're going to do right about here is we're going to get some redstone, we're going to get some nether quartz, and we're going to get ourselves some of the charged Certus quartz. And I think, for the time being, I'm going to pick these up. There's really no point in them being in there. You can see it's still at 0%. It's going to take forever if we just leave it in there. So I'm going to actually just throw in all 12 of those, all of that, and all of that. We'll get back all the redstone and nether quartz that's not used in the process here. And so there we go. There's all of our Fluix crystals. We're probably going to need maybe even a few more than 24 during today's episode. But to start with here, I'm going to go ahead and I think we're going to go with 2 of these crystal growth accelerators. You can put down really as many as you like. You can put down 1 on each side of the puddle of water here, so I guess you can have up to 6 surrounding all the sides of the water. But I think for the time being, 2 might be enough. If we do end up needing more than the 2 that we have, we can always go ahead and craft a few more of those up. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So let's grab at least, I think, 10 Certus quartz, so we can make 2 lots of the quartz glass. We only need 2 for these, but I think we're also going to need more quartz glass going forward as well. And we do need some extra Certus quartz dust for more of this quartz fiber, although we should have a little bit of it left. We do from the end of last episode. We also have a couple of quartz glass, actually. Okay, so let me see here real quick. We can make ourselves almost one of those. Of course, we were missing iron. What else would we be missing? We'll come over here. I did get some more aluminium between episodes. I went back up to my vertical mine and we just moved it around a few more times until we got a couple more pieces of ore. That's really all that I did between episodes. I didn't do a whole lot else, mostly just moving the thing around to get some more resources. And also, I didn't mention that I have rearranged the items over here. You'll see now that we have the sag mill to the left of the basic capacitor bank, and then the ME chest to the right. And that does mean that right now the inscriber and the charger are not powered, but that is something that I plan to change pretty soon. Actually, we'll probably change it right about now. So the plan here, as soon as we get our ME crafting terminal, I'm pretty sure that we're also going to require the energy acceptor that we did make last episode and then never really got around to using. And so if we throw this thing down right about here, and then if we were to make a few more of these ME glass cable, what we should then be able to do is something like this. You can see right now both the inscriber and the charger have 0 out of 3000 RF, but by putting down the energy acceptor should be able to pull the energy from the basic capacitor bank and use that energy and send it through the ME cable into other items in the ME network. For example, now you can see that the charger is full. It has 3000 out of 3000 redstone flux and now should work just fine. It should be able to pull all of its power from the energy acceptor, and the same goes for the ME crafting terminal that we're going to make, because I'm fairly certain that also cannot accept redstone flux, although I will admit I have not tried it. You might be able to put it in like really jankily from the side, but I'm fairly certain that we need to carry the redstone flux through the ME glass cable and into what is going to be the ME crafting terminal, but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves for now. Let's grab some of this Certus quartz dust, let's craft that up into some more of this quartz glass, and then let's go ahead and craft up some more of these crystal growth accelerators. I didn't even get the iron when I went over to the chest. Thankfully, we do have some in our ME chest here, and so we can go ahead and craft up 2 of these crystal growth accelerators, and I'm fairly certain that they have to be placed down facing in towards the crystal growth accelerator. That might not be true, but I think what is true is that the crystal growth accelerators can only receive power from the back here. So I think if we were to, again, kind of do more of the same thing, we're going to pull the power from this energy acceptor along and into the crystal growth accelerator. So it's going to look something just like that, but we do need to get ourselves a couple more of these ME glass cables, and of course we are missing just a little bit of quartz fiber. Thankfully we do have the glass and Certus quartz to make that happen, and then we can go ahead and craft up a couple more sets of those. And so now we've done that, the crystal growth accelerator, this one on the right here, you can see in Whaler it says device online, whereas this one over here says device offline. Now, if I am not mistaken, which again, I might very well be, I'm going to go underneath here because I don't want to mess things up too much, although I did kind of just mess things up a little bit there. What we're going to do, we're going to run the power cable, we're going to run the ME cable along down here, under here. That should prop that up, although that might cause a bit of an issue when we drop the seeds in. The seeds might fall right through, and so instead, you know what? Hold on a second here. Let's take it down just one more. Let's do this and this. Get rid of this one and also of this one, and then let's quickly replace that with, I would like to replace it with cobblestone where possible. There we go. And so now we can run this around, and I'm fairly certain that this doesn't work. You can't connect the ME cables to the sides, and so I'm pretty sure you do have to have it orientated the way that I've done it here, with the top pointing in towards the water you're going to work with, just so that you can go ahead and power it like this. There we go. Okay, so now, can we get back up there? Ooh, we can indeed. Nice. So let me quickly fill in this wall again so it doesn't just look completely horrible. And so now that we have both of these crystal growth accelerators online, if we throw in the Certus quartz seed, and it's not going to grow like instantaneously, it's still not going to be anywhere near as fast as the Fluix crystal, but it should be significantly faster than it was before. So instead of taking hours to craft, it should only take a couple of minutes. If we go back in now and check again, and you can see right now it's on 3%, that's not particularly quick. It might take like close to 10 minutes here before that actually turns into what we want it to turn into, which is a bit of a wait, but it's definitely worth it compared to the multiple hours that we would have to have waited for it to craft up normally. We could, I guess, if we wanted to here, we do have what it takes to make one more of these. If we were to make one more of these crystal growth accelerators real quick, that does use up almost all of our glass cable, which means we are actually pretty much out of it. We can, in fact, make one more set of glass cable if we can get ourselves one more of these Certus quartz dust, because that is going to allow us to craft up some more of this quartz fiber, which should in turn allow us to craft up one more set of ME cable. There we go. So hopefully we will be able to get this up and running. Let me quickly pick these up. We'll get rid of this and throw you down just in that slot beneath, but I think we are going to have to get rid of that to do something like, ooh, I need to shift them. There we go. Okay, cool. Cool. Let me throw this back in like so. Then let's do a quick loop around again and see if we can't hook this thing up to its energy energy cable. I think the shortest route would probably look something like that. Oh, but again, no, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, no, that should work fine. Yeah, that should work fine. Let me throw a cobblestone there. We picked the seeds back up. We have indeed. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Get rid of this. This wiring is taking so much longer than I thought it would. There we go. Okay, that should be everything that we need. All 3 devices are now online. We can again go ahead and just kind of fill in the wall here with the chiseled marble like so, and then throw down the Certus Quartz seeds in the puddle again. We'll leave them for a few seconds and we'll see just how much. Actually, first of all, how much are these on? These are on 27%. We drop them in there, and we'll give it a couple of seconds, and then we'll test it again. Let's have a look. What are we on now? Now they're on 32%. So they are definitely going quite a lot faster than they were doing before. And so, guys, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go away. I'm going to wait until we have 2 fully formed pure Certus Quartz crystals, and I'll be back in a second. And not too long later, we now have what appears to be 2 fully formed pure Certus Quartz crystals. Nice. So, finally, if we come back up, I did do some more rearranging here. I put the floor back down, and I've moved the inscriber to the spot next to the basic capacitor bank, and I've moved the ME chest over to where the inscriber used to be, because for whatever reason, the inscriber appears to not be able to receive redstone flux from the energy acceptor. It connects. Like, if you look under here, I'll kind of show you real quick. This ME cable here does connect to the inscriber, but the inscriber doesn't actually get power from it. It was on 0 out of 3000 redstone flux when it was in this position. However, the ME chest can receive power from the energy acceptor, and so we have the ME chest here now instead. It's all a bit of a mess, but for now, it is working out just fine. And so, I did go ahead and make one more piece of printed silicon using some of the new silicon that we got between episodes, and now we can come back over to our crafting station. We should be able to make ourselves this guy here, the inscriber calculation press, which is 4 nether quartz, 4 aluminium ingots, and then 1 block of iron. All super easy stuff, all stuff that we did last episode. We could throw that into here, and we could throw in one of our 2 pure Certus Quartz crystals. That is going to craft up into this printed calculation circuit, and then if we combine that up with some redstone and that piece of printed silicon, we should get ourselves the calculation processor that we need in order to make the crafting terminal. We can go ahead and craft up a crafting table as well. Grab this guy, and so now if we come back over here, we can craft together the ME terminal, a crafting table, and that one calculation processor to get ourselves an ME crafting terminal. Nice. And so now if we put this right here, what should happen is all of the energy coming from the energy acceptor should go around through the ME chest and into this crafting terminal here. You can see at the top there, it does indeed say device online. And now we can access all of the stuff that is inside of our ME chest, but we can also craft with it at the same time here without having to go over to our crafting station. And not only that, but we can also pull items from within the ME system itself to craft with as if they were in our inventory. For example, if I want to make myself a furnace, I could go ahead and just shift click in, and even though we don't have, well, in this case we did have cobblestone in our inventory, if I get rid of the cobblestone and do it again, although we don't have cobblestone in our inventory, it will use the cobblestone in the AE system to craft what we need. Really nice. So now that we've got that, the next thing that I want to work on is kind of expanding the storage capacity of our AE system a little bit, because although we've got this ME chest that contains one 1K ME storage cell, in my opinion it's not quite enough, because if we try to put all of our stuff from our inventory into here, you can see that we very quickly run out of space. And even if we take out the items that don't stack, like all the presses here, and kind of try and save as many types as possible, we still don't have space for any of our ingots, which are over there, and being able to craft from within our AE system is not really worthwhile if we have to keep walking back over here to get all of our ingots. And so what I'm going to do is craft up a storage bus, and what this is going to allow us to do is access all of the items in a different inventory from within our AE system. So to make this, we need 2 pistons, 1 normal and 1 sticky. Thankfully, we've still got our smeltery, and so getting another sticky piston should be nice and easy. Let me go ahead and just make the second one there. And then we also need to get one of these ME interfaces. Now, to make this, we need 2 glass, 4 iron, and again, these annihilation and formation cores pop up. For these, we need more of these logic processors, and we also need a little bit more fluix dust. I did get some more charged Certus Quartz whilst we were waiting for the pure Certus Quartz crystal, and so again, if we do the same old song and dance here, we get some redstone and some nether quartz. We can throw all of these into the same puddle, even though we've got the growth accelerators around. That's not going to change this process whatsoever. And once we have got a few more of these fluix crystals, we can, of course, again, throw 2 of those into here. That's going to get us all the fluix dust that we need for the ME storage bus. And now, back over here, we can go ahead and throw that in. We should have what it takes to make both the formation and the annihilation core. Now, be careful when doing crafting like this, because for some reason, the ME system always seems to put the pure Certus Quartz crystal first, when in fact, you can use normal Certus Quartz in place there. And considering how much more time it takes to get the pure Certus Quartz crystal, I would definitely not recommend using it to make things things like the formation cores, but for some reason it keeps putting that in before any of the normal status quads. But anyway, as long as you don't do that, we can now go ahead and make ourselves the ME interface, like so, and then we can craft that up with a little bit of a sticky piston, which we are going to need to get the congealed blood for, which actually I completely misspoke last episode. If we go over to piston here before we die, oh, no. Oh, I died. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, are we okay? There we go. Okay, cool stuff. We do have keep inventory on, so we don't lose anything. But I was actually completely wrong about the name. It's actually called coagulated blood as opposed to congealed blood. You can see there, it's coagulated blood, not congealed blood. I've always called it congealed blood, but if you're looking in JEI and you can't find congealed blood, that's why it's actually called coagulated blood. But now that we've got, we don't quite have the 160 millibuckets required yet, so let's just quickly squeeze out just a little bit more, and then we can pull that out for the sticky piston, and that should be pretty much everything that we need. So let's take that back over here, and let's throw that in like so. Let's craft up a sticky piston like that, and then we can combine that with a normal piston, and of course that ME interface to get ourselves a storage bus. And what this is going to allow us to do is access the entire inventory of, for now at least, this small storage crate. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come down. I don't know if I can put this on like that. I totally can. I thought I might have to get rid of the cable to put it on, but we now have an ME storage bus attached to the small storage crate, and now our AE system can actually access everything that is within the small storage crate itself. So if we look in here, you can see a bunch of stuff like all the cobblestone that wasn't previously available inside of this terminal. If we scroll down, you can see a bunch more items like these crystals, for example, that were just not available a second ago. So I'm going to go ahead and sort by number of items so that we see we've got all that cobblestone, and also I just like having it organized by number of items. And I'm also going to go ahead and dump pretty much all my inventory in there, and I'm also going to grab all of the ingots from over here. Eventually, we'll set up some kind of pipe that brings all of the items from here around and into the chest over here, or we could even put another storage bus over on this chest over here to just receive all the items that are in that chest and have them available to our AE system. But I should point out at this point that there is a limit on how big your Applied Energistics 2 system can get before you invest in an Applied Energistics 2 controller. So the controller is basically what controls that sort of controller that looks like the controller, but it's not the controller. The ME controller is the one next to it. This thing requires some Skystone block as well as that engineering processor, which requires all the diamonds that we don't quite have yet. And if you want an AE system that has more than 8 items in it, you need a controller. So right now, we've got the crafting terminal, which counts as 1 item. I'm fairly certain the ME chest will count as 2. We've got the storage bus, which counts as 3. And I'm fairly certain, if I'm not mistaken, that the inscriber, the ME chest, and all of the growth accelerators don't actually count as items that take up channels in our Applied Energistics 2 system. And so for now, I think we have just 3 items connected. And if we try and get more than 8, then we will need a controller. But thankfully, for now, for the early game, while we're still getting things up and running, we shouldn't need to get a controller for at least a couple of episodes here. And this like little system that we've got should be okay for the time being. Where is my dark oak? There it is. Let me quickly fill in the floor here like so. And so now that's done, the next thing I want to work on that should be a lot easier now that we've got our ME crafting terminal is a jetpack. We don't have any form of flight yet whatsoever, and so I would like to start on a conductive iron jetpack. We do have the Simply Jetpacks mod installed, and there are also some other jetpacks from mods like Gravitation Suit as well as Industrial Craft 2, but we're going to go with the ones from Simply Jetpacks 2, and we're going to start, of course, with the conductive iron jetpack, which is the tier 1 version, and then we can go up to the tier 2, 3, and 4 version. You do need the previous tier of jetpack in order to make the next tier up, and so we have to start with the conductive iron jetpack, which is not going to be fantastic, but should get the job done for the time being at least. We should already have, I think, the basic capacitor. We do indeed. We're going to need 4 conductive iron, which thankfully we can make in our smeltery using, I think, just iron and redstone. Yeah, we need 25 millibuckets of destabilized redstone, which is just redstone in the smeltery, as well as 36 millibuckets of iron. So I'm not going to be too worried about getting precise measurements here. I'm just going to take out some iron and some redstone. Thankfully, we already have some gold in here, and so getting ourselves an ingot cast should be as simple as grabbing an ingot. In this case, we're going to use a seared brick, although you can use pretty much any ingot you want. You can put an iron ingot here, but you do lose it when you pull out the molten gold over it, and that is going to get us an ingot cast. You can see at the top there, it's working away in Whaler, and there we go. We now have an ingot cast, and so if I was to put in a little bit of iron, I'll put in 3, and we'll also put in 3 redstone as well, and that should get us a couple of ingots worth of conductive iron. Do we need more of it for this? We do indeed. So you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and put in 5 iron and then 4 redstone. I'm not quite sure how many ingots that gets us, because I don't really want to have to do the math off the top of my head here. So while we're waiting for that to do its thing, the hard part of this recipe are these conductive thrusters here. For these, we need 4 more of these basic capacitors. Thankfully, that shouldn't be too hard. I think all we're missing, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I forget, it doesn't tell you how many you can make, but that gets us 4 of them, 2 for each of the thrusters. We also need 2 insulated redstone conduit and then 2 basic gears. The basic gears are super easy to make, but we do need 4 of them, which means we are going to need just a couple more sticks here. Where is all of my oak wood? There it is indeed. Get rid of that, get some more sticks. That should get us all of the gears. Now, unfortunately, the recipe for the insulated redstone conduits here requires redstone alloy, which, although it looks like it can be made in the smeltery, I don't think actually can be made in the smeltery, because if we look over, the only items that can make the molten liquid are the redstone alloy ingot or a block of redstone ingots. And so I think what we're going to have to do in order to make ourselves that redstone alloy is get ourselves the alloy smelter, which is another machine from Enderio, much like the sag mill. And for this, we need 3 normal furnaces, a cauldron, another one of those machine chassis that we made last episode for the sag mill, and that should allow us to craft up this redstone alloy. So let me see here. We don't have a cauldron, I don't think. And I'm also fairly certain that although we may have 1 furnace, we definitely don't have 3. So let me throw all of those in there. And then we are going a bit of a long way about getting to the recipe for the alloy smelter, but that's fine once we've got one. For now, we'll put it like right there just because it can get power from the capacitor bank eventually. I'll probably move it between episodes and we'll throw in, I think 3 redstone and then 3 silicon should be enough. Hopefully it's not smelting the redstone yet. It is not. We'll throw that in there. Whilst we're waiting for that to smelt up into the redstone alloy, we can come back over to our smeltery here and we've got, whoa. Oh yeah, okay, we've got 4 ingots worth. I was a bit scared there. I thought we had 1 ingot worth of this conductive iron. We've got 4 ingots worth of conductive iron. And so now if we right click on our faucet, we can go ahead and pull all of those out. 4 ingots is not quite going to be enough because we need an extra 4 in order to make that work. And so what did we put in there? We put in 5 iron and then 4 redstone. And so it looks like actually it is a 1-to-1 ratio. For every 1 piece of redstone you put in and every 1 piece of iron, you get 1 of those ingots. And so if we did something like this and we put in 4 of those and 4 of those, that should get us a further 8, but we don't need the iron because we've still got 1 left over from before. Let's grab that as well. How are these doing over here? They are very almost done, 56% complete. And after that, the only piece that we're missing is the leather strap, which requires 4 leather and 2 iron ingots. We are missing all the leather, but thankfully we can head on out and grab some leather from some cows. And so guys, what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to go away. I'm going to wait for all of this stuff to finish smelting. I'm going to pull out all of the conductive iron ingots. I'm going to go get 4 pieces of leather from some cows, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so a little bit of cow tipping later, and we now have all of the leather that we need in order to make ourselves the leather strap here in the center, and we also have all of the conductive iron that we need in order to make both of these, and we should also have all of the redstone alloy. I'm not quite sure how much conduit binder we have, but it would appear we have enough to make all of the insulated redstone conduits, and I think that should be everything we need to make 2 lots of these thrusters, and then we can combine those up with the conductive iron as well as another basic capacitor and the leather strap to get ourselves, oh really, we don't have that last basic capacitor. I thought we made enough. Nevertheless, here we go. Oh no, we made the alloy smelter, didn't we? Of course, that's why we're 1 short, but that gets us the conductive jetpack, and now we just need a way to charge it, and thankfully the capacitor bank has a built-in set of charging ports, and so all we have to do is throw it into the bottom there, and that will start to charge up the 80,000 redstone flux that the conductive jetpack can hold. Now, as I mentioned before, it's not necessarily the best jetpack in the world, but it works, and it does give us at least an easier way of getting around if we want to get to higher up places. For example, up here if we want to get up there for whatever reason. But it does allow us to have at least a little bit of flight. And I believe, let me see here, is it H to enter hover mode? It is not. Let me quickly go over to the controls here, which... it is L of all things. Can I change that to grave? I can. Okay, so now I'm going to press the grave key. By default, it's L, but that allows you to enter hover mode. With this jetpack, hover mode is not great. It just means you fall ever so slightly slower. As we get into the higher tiers of jetpack, we'll be able to fly around faster, and hover mode will become a precise, like, won't move whatsoever hover, which will be nice to have. And so we will work on getting some better jetpacks at some point in the near future, and also work towards getting some creative mode flight at some point, kind of towards the mid-game. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode of Feed the Beast Beast Beyond there. As always, if you did enjoy the video and you haven't done so already, be sure to hit subscribe to be notified as soon as new videos go up. And if you're looking for something new to watch, hey, how about one of the 2 videos on screen right now? Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.